I spent the past few days playing Secret World Legends essentially for the first time. Here are my thoughts on the game. First, I should start with why I decided to play the game. It's one reason: the atmosphere. I wanted to experience some occult modern day fiction, and Secret World Legends was the first and only thing that came to mind. In that, Secret World Legends did quite well. I got what I came for. So far, I've only gone through the tutorial, the first map, and perhaps a third of the second map. And the writing of the game is full of whatever you want to call it. Cheesy writing, cliches, memes, stereotypes, whatever it is. So far, I don't really mind it, because the characters I interact with are actually pretty cool. All of them. And I'm only sad that I don't get to return the request to them to hear what they say. Instead, I just get my reward by the phone, and that's that. The setup of the first part of the game is nothing special. Zombie outbreak. We've seen it how many times already. But as I run around doing the quests and untangling the mystery of what actually happened, I'm quite enjoying myself. It is by no means an Oscar-worthy story, at least so far, and yet I am intrigued by it. So, okay, close to top marks when it comes to atmosphere, story, and characters for me. But, of course, that's not all the game is. It is also outdated and clunky. I've heard some people complain about constant crashes. My game didn't crash a single time, but I would guess that's because I got lucky and whatever causes the crashes is not present in my PC. Secret World Legends, you see, is a cash grab reboot of the Secret World. It's obvious. There are plenty of microtransactions as well as what looks like a subscription model. I didn't check it in depth, there's no way I'm spending money on this game, but if you need convincing, you only get one character slot, and if you want more you have to pay. You can eventually unlock all weapons with that one character, so it's not as bad as it sounds, but still. Honestly, there's no way any of the half a handful people who somehow ended up watching this video, hi people, are ever going to spend money on this game either, so I will spare myself looking deeper into the monetization. You can play through the game for free, that's my current impression, and that's what's important to me. It's a shame though, the cosmetics, emotes, and all that looks pretty cool. If the game wasn't dead, I could see myself spending some coins on it, despite the game's other problems. Yes, that's my segue. The Secret World came out pretty much at the same time as Guild Wars 2, but it looks like it came out 8 years before that. And I didn't pick that number by accident. Secret World Legends gives me a strong Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines feeling, and that's the standard that I held it to, even though Bloodlines came out in 2004 and the Secret World in 2012. So yeah, the graphics are very dated, the combat is clunky and lacks pretty much anything good to name. You've seen some of it on your screen. The only thing in that regard I will grant to Secret World Legends is that you play two weapons, each of which has its own, let's call it mana pool, even though it's not called mana, and each of which has its own unique mechanic to pay attention to. For example, bars going this way and that, increasing healing and damage so long as you don't overdo it. Or you get a grenade that you can throw, but if you wait 3 seconds after you get that grenade before you throw it, it's much stronger. However, if you wait 6 seconds, it explodes in your face. With the katana, you enter a buffed state after a few hits, and some of your abilities get extra functionalities while buffed on top of extra damage. The hammer fills a gauge that lets you use abilities with more pixels and bigger numbers, etc, etc. What I'm getting at is, perhaps later on in the game, in dungeons when you fight bosses, the combat feels way more engaging. When juggling all those resources and mechanics on top of dodging red circles or whatever mechanics bosses have. Maybe it gets to that point. Or maybe not. I didn't get that far. I did run the first dungeon solo once I was high enough level, and aside from the last boss, there wasn't really anything noteworthy happening. Bosses were bullet sponges, and the only mechanics that I remember were don't stay in the electrified water and okay, now the boss summons trash mobs. The last boss, however, had some mist where he does a ton of damage if he finds you, with some trash mobs that I think also run around looking for you and attract the boss. I'm not sure how exactly the mechanics work, but at some point the boss destroyed a rock I was hiding behind, which made me yelp a bit. Nothing revolutionary, but a lot more involved than the other bosses. And worth mentioning is that this was the first dungeon in story mode. I don't know what changes in the endgame mode. Lastly, I would like to mention a few things about the quests in the game. A lot of them are the classic MMO time wasters. Go kill 5 zombies of this type, followed up by go kill 5 zombies of the other type. Some of them ask you to kill a few of each type of mobs in an area, then the next quest asks you to walk a bit further and kill a bit of every type of mods in the new location. Some ask you to deliver items to mailboxes or kill specific mobs in different areas. In light of the combat being a snore, those are time-wasting, boring quests. Other quests, however, are quite interesting. Those quests either have an interesting story tied to them, which made the mindless slaughter more interesting through context, or they had some puzzle that had to be solved. The design and solutions to those quests is pretty cool, and I say that as someone who did not want to spend much time figuring out the puzzles and Google the solutions. Despite that, I fully appreciate the design of those quests and how in tune it is with the atmosphere of the game. There's even an in-game browser so you can look things up, which some people say doesn't work, but the couple of times that I opened it, it worked. I did use my own browser to look things up though, so maybe it doesn't hold up, I don't know. Still, a pretty cool idea, and it's quite necessary since I imagine most of the people who play the game, and also most of the people in the world, can't read or speak Latin, so you'll have to go online for answers. My verdict on Secret World Legends is that I wish it was not a dead game. Somehow, despite the core of the game being clunky, slow and uninteresting, talking about the combat here, I quite enjoyed my time with it, thanks to the story, atmosphere and characters. At least it's free, I guess. I plan to go back to it and do some quests every now and then. You know, enjoy the good bits. That's it. All I have to say about it.